Real is a dangerous word in physics. Let me ask you a question. When you dream at night, is the fear real? Is the joy real? The feelings are.
Exactly.
But the monsters aren't. The monster is a calculation.
Prediction.
Now, what makes you think being awake is any different? It is dark inside this skull. Pitch black. No light enters the brain. No sound enters the brain. All that enters are electrical spikes.
Patterns.
Your brain doesn't see the world. It hallucinates a model of the world that allows you to survive in it.
We are
Not cameras. We are architects. We don't record reality, we render it. And the moment you realize that the structure you feel confined by, you participated in building it.
Yeah.
And if you built it,
Yeah.
you can renovate it.
We trust our eyes. We trust our senses. We believe that we open our eyelids and the world floods in, objective and true. But this is a deception. In reality, your brain is sealed inside a silent, lightless vault of bone. It has never seen the sun. It has never touched a stone. It has never heard a voice. It only receives code. As neuroscientists like Anil Seth describe, perception is not a readout of the world. It is a controlled hallucination. Information comes in from the senses, noisy, chaotic, incomplete. To make sense of it, the brain projects a guess. It predicts what should be there. When you look at a coffee cup, you are not seeing the cup. You are seeing your brain's prediction of a cup, corrected slightly by the sensory data. You are always living in the past. It takes time for signals to travel from your retina to your visual cortex. By the time you see something, it has already happened. Your conscious experience is a delayed broadcast, a simulation running milliseconds behind the present moment. We do not inhabit the universe. We inhabit the story our brain tells us about the universe. But why? Why would evolution build a brain that hides the truth? Because the truth is dangerous. Cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman uses the metaphor of the desktop interface. Imagine the blue icon for a folder on your computer screen. That icon is blue, rectangular, and located in the corner. But the file itself, the data on the hard drive, is not blue. It is not rectangular. It is a string of zeros and ones and magnetic charges. If you had to toggle the magnetic charges every time you wanted to write an email, you would never finish. You would fail. The icon hides the complex truth to allow you to perform a function. Evolution has done the same to us. If you saw reality as it actually is, a quantum foam of probability fields, empty space, and mathematical wave functions, you would be paralyzed. You wouldn't know how to eat, how to mate, or how to run. So, evolution gave you an icon. It gave you apple, tiger, cliff. These are not truths. They are fitness payoffs. They are shortcuts designed to keep you alive long enough to replicate. We mistake the interface for the reality. We think the icon is the file. But as Kant suspected centuries ago, we never touch the thing in itself. We only touch our interface. This does not mean the world is imaginary. It means access to the world is always mediated. When we dig deeper, down to the bedrock of physics, the solid world dissolves even further. In classical physics, we assumed objects existed independently of us. A stone was a stone, whether we looked at it or not. Quantum mechanics shattered this assumption. As physicist Carlo Rovelli explains in Helgoland, objects do not exist in isolation. They exist only in relation to other objects. An electron does not have properties in isolation, only in interaction. An electron does not have a fixed position until it interacts with something else. Reality is not a collection of things. It is a network of interactions. This mirrors the way our mind works. We define ourselves only in relation to others. Up implies down. Self implies other. The universe is not a box full of objects. It is a web of relationships. When you stop interacting with the world, for you, ceases to have structure. The observer is not separate from the observed. The painter is standing inside the painting. If the coffee cup is a simulation, and the tiger is a simulation, then what are you? The self is the ultimate icon, the interface that lets the organism negotiate the social world. Just as the brain models the outside world to navigate it, it models the internal world to control it. Carl Jung understood this. He saw the ego not as the whole psyche, but as a complex, a character the mind constructs to interface with society. We spend our lives polishing this avatar. We defend its reputation. We worry about its status. We suffer when it is insulted. But as Jordan Peterson notes in Maps of Meaning, we often confuse the map for the territory. We confuse the avatar for the player. This is the source of narcissistic injury. It is the pain of the interface being scratched. But if you realize that the self you are defending is just a neurological tool, a bundle of habits, memories, and predictions, the need to defend it vanishes. You are not the character on the screen. You are the space in which the character appears. This sounds terrifying. It sounds like solipsism. If everything is a hallucination, does anything matter? But this realization is actually the key to freedom. If reality is a construction, it means it is malleable. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." You cannot change the quantum fields. You cannot change the raw data of an event. But you can change the rendering. Two people can experience the same trauma. One renders it as a tragedy that destroys them. The other renders it as the origin story of their resilience. Both stories are simulations. But one simulation leads to life, and the other leads to entropy. Cognitive reframing is not lying to yourself. It is updating your software. It is choosing a better interface. As Feynman said, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. But once you know you are fooling yourself, you can choose how to fool yourself constructively. We are walking through a dream of our own making. The colors you see, the time you feel, the separation you experience. These are the walls of the maze your ancestors built to keep you safe. Most people sleepwalk through this maze. They react to the icons. They get angry at the interface. They think the walls are absolute. But the awakened mind, the lucid dreamer, realizes the nature of the simulation. They respect the walls, but they are not bound by them. They understand that while we cannot step outside the dark room of our skull, we have the power to change the lights. You are the projector, you are the film, you are the light, and once you notice that, the movie is never quite the same again. To understand how we build this simulation, we must look at the tool that builds it, and the tool is divided. As psychiatrist Ian McGilchrist argues, the brain is not a single unity. It is two distinct modes of being. The right hemisphere sees the whole. It understands context, metaphor, and the living connection between things. It perceives the territory, but the left hemisphere is the map maker. Its job is to grab, categorize, and manipulate. It freezes the living flow of reality into static, dead objects so we can use them. The problem, McGilchrist suggests, is that we have become a society trapped in the left hemisphere. We have mistaken the map for the territory. We prefer the abstract model. the profit margin, the ideology, the algorithm, over the living reality it represents. The emissary, the analytical mind, has usurped the master, the holistic mind. The illusion of separation, that you are here and the world is there, is a left hemisphere fabrication. It chops the world into bits to control it. To break the illusion, we must re-engage the right hemisphere's ability to see the betweenness of things. But if the brain is just a biological machine, who is the you seemingly running it? Cognitive scientist Douglas Hofstadter proposes a stunning answer in Gödel, Escher, Bach. You are a strange loop. A strange loop occurs when a system creates a symbol that points back at itself. Think of a video camera pointed at its own monitor. It creates an infinite tunnel of feedback. Your brain is doing the same thing. It holds a symbol for me and uses that symbol to process information, which updates the symbol. I is not a physical object. It is a pattern. It is the audio feedback screech of a mind listening to itself. As Hofstadter explains, consciousness arises from this self-reference. The self is a hallucination that is hallucinating itself. We are not the pilot of the vessel. We are a story the vessel tells itself to explain its own complexity. Once the self-loop is established, it needs a code to operate. That code is language. But words are not neutral labels. They are the frame of the simulation. In Metaphors We Live By, George Lakoff and Mark Johnson show that our conceptual system is fundamentally metaphorical. We say, I defended my point, or he attacked my argument. We structure the concept of argument as war. Because we use this metaphor, we actually experience arguments as battles, with winners, losers, and aggression. If we used a different metaphor, say, argument is dance, we would experience the same interaction completely differently, as cooperation, rhythm, and balance. We are trapped in the metaphors we inherited. We treat time as money. We spend it, waste it, save it. We treat mind as computer. We process, we crash. These metaphors limit what we can see. They are the invisible walls of the maze. To change your reality, you must change your metaphors. We layer these metaphors until the reality underneath disappears entirely. French philosopher Jean Baudrillard called this the simulacrum. A simulacrum is a copy without an original, a sign that points to nothing. Think of a map so detailed it covers the entire territory. Eventually, the territory rots away, and only the map remains. We live in the map. We obsess over GDP, a number that represents value, while destroying the actual environment that provides value. We obsess over social score or likes, simulations of connection, while losing the ability to connect. Baudrillard famously argued that places like Disneyland exist to hide a terrifying truth, that the real world outside is no longer real either. Disneyland is presented as imaginary to make us believe that Los Angeles or New York is real. But in truth, the cities are just as constructed, just as scripted, and just as much of a simulation as the theme park. We are living in a hyper-reality. If our reality is a construct, where does our mind stop and the world begin? Philosopher Andy Clark argues that the mind has never been contained in the skull. We are natural-born cyborgs. When you use a notebook to remember a phone number, that notebook is physically part of your memory circuit. When you use a cane to feel the road, your sense of touch migrates to the tip of the cane. The smartphone in your pocket is not an accessory. It is an external hard drive for your cortex. We are leaky biological loops. Our consciousness flows out into our tools, our environments, and our networks. This means the architecture of illusion is not just in your head. It is in the design of your phone, the layout of your city, and the structure of your newsfeed. You are thinking with your environment. If you want to change your mind, you don't just meditate. You change the tools you couple with. But before we are cyborgs, and before we are linguists, we are bodies. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio reminds us that the mind did not evolve to think. It evolved to regulate a body. Consciousness began as a feeling, a homeostatic feeling that tells the organism if it is alive, safe, or in danger. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." He was wrong. Damasio corrects this. "I feel, therefore I am." Every abstract thought you have about justice, love, or math is grounded in the fleshy chemical state of your nervous system. The illusion of the self feels real because it is attached to the non-illusion of biological survival. We cannot hallucinate our way out of hunger. The final pillar of our illusion is perhaps the strongest, time itself. We perceive time as a smooth, flowing river, moving from past to future. But physicist Carlo Rovelli reveals, this is a perspective effect, not a fundamental truth. At the quantum level, there is no single now that covers the whole universe. Time passes at different speeds, depending on gravity and speed. The flow of time is generated by entropy, by the blurring of details. Just as a heat map blurs the motion of individual atoms into temperature, our brain blurs the quantum foam into time. Time is thermal. It is a measure of our ignorance. If we could see every molecule, every quantum state, the difference between past and future would vanish. We live in time because we are finite. We see a movie because we cannot see the whole reel at once. So, we arrive at the ultimate question. If the self is a loop, perception is a hallucination, and time is a blur. What is running the code? Some physicists and computer scientists, like Stephen Wolfram or Pedro Domingos, suggest the universe itself is computational. We might be living in a universe defined by a master algorithm, a single learning rule that generates all complexity from simple data. Or, as Richard Feynman mused, nature acts like a giant computer, updating the state of the world point by point. This brings us back to the desktop interface. If the universe is computation, then our consciousness is just the user interface, UI, designed to make the data usable. We are not the code. We are the cursor. And just like a cursor can move across the screen and open new files, we have agency within the simulation. We cannot escape the computation, but we can learn to program.